Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday. I'm the Gray Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Wednesday, March 13th, 2024. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? May I please have the first 5 cards in our 5-card spread? First card we are starting our day off with today is the moon. I'm not surprised to see this, my friends. We're just coming out of that Pisces new moon. We've got a new moon coming up for us. I told you this is the clean slate for the manifestation goals right now. So laying out those manifestations in relationality to what you aspire and desire for this next full moon. This is a beautiful time for this manifestation energy to come in. A lot of this, though, is taking and requiring a lot of deep thinking, a lot of deep consideration, masculine and feminine energy right now. As we recognize and saw, even the energy in the divine union frequency, there is that moment or that amplification that we have recognized that has been requiring a lot of internal journeying at this time. Why? Because a lot of the work that we saw that has been happening over the last few days in the heart of the divine union frequency has had a lot of observational points in recognizing how much you have energetically changed since entering the frequency of the divine union. These are energies that are amplifying, they're bringing out that best version of self, that highest version of self. At the same time, this is that modality that the more you recognize and understand with the self, the more that you eventually or energetically need to unpack. So what is effectively or energetically happening right now for a lot of the energy in the heart of the divine union frequency? This is that moment of a personal expansion that you're experiencing and seeing and feeling parts of yourself that you may not necessarily have recognized. This is that additional point of perception that is coming through right now for a lot of the energy in the divine union, because as you shift, as you change, you have an ability to be able to see things from different optics. So even now, this may be experienced as a lot of rumination, as a lot of consideration, rumination on the self, observing one's own shadow aspects, going into those deeper mysteries of the self right now. This is that self-inquiry right now. That is almost that expansion point in being able to look at things with that heightened degree of care and intensity. This is happening in different ways right now for masculine and feminine, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. For masculine energy, this is probably and possibly the result of a lot of the work that we see that is occurring right now for the masculine energy. Why? What did I tell you is happening right now for a lot of the masculine energy that is working in the divine union frequency? You're learning that ability, you're learning that power to be able to sit with one's emotionality. We even saw that a lot of the masculine energy in the divine union frequency had a little bit of this like pop goes the weasel effect, especially if you were feeling what would have been akin to an emotional overwhelm point that would have typically or previously moved you into some capacity of reactivity, almost saying to yourself, why do I feel reactive in these moments? Why am I worried about feeling my feelings? What am I worried about is going to happen if I just allow myself to embody and feel the things that I'm feeling? This is the masculine energy turning their face to the thing that is hard to see within the self. This is the masculine energy doing that work and like not turning away from it through activity, but almost going deeper into the well of the self, right? This is that like sinking in. This is a lot of like meditative practices that I'm almost seeing here, because this is almost someone like sinking into their emotions to be able to get to that lower level, to get to that aspiration or aspect of being able to understand oneself on a deeper level. So we see even now for a lot of the masculine energy and the feminine, this is a lot of consideration on some of these things that are harder to pin down or harder to express or harder to even see within the self. Feminine energy that is in divine union frequency, the feminine is more akin to being able to do this. This is something that we see here, that the feminine energy feels more of an adaptability or easement to be able to move into, because feminine is easier in alignment with their own energetic center. This is something that, again, the feminine energy may be helping masculine with to a certain extent. But even still, we see even now that the feminine energy coming into a point of resilience, building that understanding of coming into their own sense of self, feeling the stability and security of a masculine that creates a safe space. How is the masculine energy creating a safe space for the feminine in the divine union frequency? Is the masculine energy protecting feminine from other masculine energy? No. This is feminine energy that is feeling the valuation point of a masculine that has learned the art or the act of protecting the feminine from the masculine's own reactivity point, especially if this is masculine energy that has been working on their own emotional stability by, again, being able to just allow themselves to feel emotions prior to reacting to them, learning that ability to speak on their emotions, to say what they are feeling, coming from that I am perspective instead of subjecting another to how one is feeling. This is the feminine energy that is feeling the true safety net of a masculine that goes so far to protect the feminine from the masculine that includes the masculine energy's own base nature that typically sometimes comes in as more reactive. So for the feminine energy, this is almost feeling like the feminine has that safe space to be able to move into that ability of recognizing that they can go into that exploration of the self to even a deeper level. So both of these energies right now, moving a lot, and I have to say this is what's important about this, moving a lot into some of that shadow exploration of the self, but doing so in a way like almost energetically holding hands with one another, right? That is almost like that combat, that ability to navigate something and feeling that strength and security of being able to do something, being able to face something that you may not have felt the ability to face prior in the past because you have someone there that you know is energetically doing the same work, is with you every step of the way. Masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union. This is that expansion point. This is that energetic connection that you may be feeling with someone that almost feels like it's hard to put into words, because we're seeing here that for a lot of the energy coming into the divine union frequency, this ability of having to almost stumbled upon someone, almost feeling like you weren't expecting to encounter someone at this time, and you're feeling such a deep, intense connection. That's not happening. Can you see this? If you've been following along, that's not happening coincidentally. That's happening specifically due to the fact that we're recognizing and understanding that for a lot of the energy in this modality right now, this ability of recognizing and this ability of doing all of this work on the self is what has been facilitating and allowing you to be able to move into such a positive connection with another energy. So what we're effectively seeing at this time for masculine and feminine energy that is doing this work, this ability to be able to experience one another, this ability to be able to open up to each other, not just about the things that you want or aspire or desire to show someone that you want to see, but those things that are hard to discuss, those parts of yourself that you don't typically show. This is what is forging a lot of the connections right now that are leading to that deepening or intensification of the energetic connections. I'm not surprised to see this right now after this new moon in Pisces, because that is almost that energetic overwhelm that we're seeing, that purging. But what is that energetic purging doing for the energy right now that's not subjecting others to the emotionality as opposed to being able to articulate and to express? It is building that energetic connective tissue. Masculine and feminine energy right now that is in separation. This is that difficulty point that we're seeing that a lot of the energy in the separation is energetically feeling right now, because it could be feeling like, again, you're kind of caught between two different modalities. This is almost like it's giving me a lot of that calm space prior to that energetic storm that happens when we build a new connection, because we saw here that for some of the energy, some of these connections are just starting to find themselves in a moment that feels like a low point, right? This is this moment that almost feels like for a lot of the energy in separation, almost having that moment or modality saying when all hope was lost, there they are. There's that energy that you're finding in this moment of what may feel like an energetically low point. Again, stumbling around in the dark, who do you bump into? Someone who is doing the same work, someone that is on the same journey. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now. Second card in our 5-card spread for today, it's transverse. We've got here, it's going to feel like a little bit of that calmness, right? It's going to feel like a little bit of that peace. And even now that energetic catharsis point, This is almost that like moment of stillness, if you will, that comes towards situations and circumstances. Because what we're effectively energetically identifying now is, again, there's something about these new karmic cycles that are taking up space, that are starting to come into being. They don't just slide, they don't just start moving super quick. They start slowly, right? They start in that, like, that's that slow wheel that begins to start to move. So we see even now, there could be a lot of the energy that's in separation that is feeling that uncertainty as to which way direction that the energy is moving, because there's still some of that hope or aspiration of someone coming into some kind of profound energetic healing to be able to allow and facilitate a connection to occur. While at the same time, there's some new energetic possibilities that are opening up, right? So this is like what we're seeing is like almost that like moment that feels like there's a lot of different things floating in the air. You're not really sure what's happening. You're not really sure which direction things are going to go. What are these energies doing right now then in separation? This could even be the energy right now making these new energetic connections in separation, talking about this strange liminal space that you and another energy may find themselves in right now, right? This could even be a lot of restoration energy of someone talking and saying, like, I don't know what I do without you. I'm not sure what to do in that way, because this is that moment energetically that is amplifying the ability of someone to come into a healing gesture versus that moment of feeling like this is a separation event. So we see even now, a lot of this has already proceeded forward. I need to stress here, there's something about the Wheel of Fortune being here. This cycle has already begun. This new cycle has already begun, even if it feels like it hasn't. You just can't necessarily see it yet, because I want to say that this is like that darkness before the dawn, right? It's like, the day's already started. You just can't see it yet because it's like this is the new shape of the energetic cycle that's occurring. Masculine and feminine energy that is coming into divine union right now. This is that moment that feels like the expansion of possibilities. But one of the things that we're seeing here is when you experience that moment, that profound perception shift that potentially occurs when you suddenly realize something that you hadn't realized before, when your own insight expands from being in partnership with counterpart energy that feels like it's in alignment. This is that moment that you look back at something and go, I didn't know anything. I need to look back on everything. I need to open up that book. I need to go looking back on everything that happened, because suddenly I've got the clarity and insight to see something, to see everything in a whole new different way. So even now, that is that moment that I need to describe this as like that high-low feeling that some of the energy may be experiencing right now of coming into the divine union frequency. Why? Because I bet you thought you were going to enter the divine union frequency and you were never going to think about the past again. Guess what? No, it's not that you don't think about the past again. It's that suddenly you have to look at all of that past experience with those new set of eyes, with that new set of perception. That's a clarity that suddenly goes, it's a clarity that creates confusion, because it's a clarity that says, oh my gosh, I could spend the rest of my life now looking back on everything that just happened, because suddenly I've got to look at it from a completely different angle. Masculine and feminine energy experiencing this right now, potentially in the divine union frequency, even again, walking themselves through it, talking it out, not holding back on it, just being like, this is I feel like I've got, like, I feel like this is like that headspace shift that shifts everything. Masculine and feminine energy that is in the divine union frequency. This modality is, again, it's specifically happening right now because one of the things that we're seeing, and I'm telling you right now, this is going to feel a little bit harder to place in the divine union frequency. Why? Because it's harder to make energetic breakthrough moments when you're already in the divine union frequency, right? This is almost one of those moments that I told you, maybe the feeling that deep exploration of the self. If the energy in the divine union doesn't have anywhere to put this, they may just bring it internally, right? They may just build that sense. And even now, I have to stress one of the things about this that's so important right now has to do with the masculine and feminine energy in the divine union frequency, feeling that balance point. Now, one of the things that potentially happens sometimes with the energy in the divine union frequency is while we see that the energy that is either coming into the divine union frequency or in separation wants to run up into the divine union frequency, there's a calmness that occurs once you're in the divine union frequency, because that's a moment of being like, if things are good, why would we rock the boat? if things are good, if the water is still, you don't get frustrated if the water is still. You're like, that's actually okay. One of the things that we're effectively energetically seeing right now too is masculine and feminine energy, feeling that sense of catharsis, feeling that sense of contentment that's potentially entering the divine union frequency. And this is really funny because this honestly is going to have to do with where you are or where you fall on astrological placements in relationality as to whether you like this feeling, whether this feeling feels cozy and comfy and you could just like sit in it all day, or if it makes you feel like something's wrong, something needs to happen. If this energy feels like it's boring, this is really has to do with whether you're like a fire sign or an earth sign, or like, so if you're a fire sign, this is going to drive you potentially batty. If you are a water sign, this is going to feel like kind of nice. And if you're like an earth sign, like again, it really has to do with your placements here in relationality to how you feel about this. This is why we see some people are potentially going to be like picking up things, cleaning things right now, trying to do stuff, because some of the energy, especially if you've got a lot of fire sign placements, this doesn't feel like peace. This feels like anxiety, because it's like someone being like, it's so quiet. And some people will be like, it's so quiet. And then there's some energy that's like, it's a little too quiet. You know what I mean? It's going to feel like that. Okay. It all depends on how you absorb that type of energy. Continuing through on this third card in our 5-card spread for today is, we've got here, our 2 of Cups in its reversal. So I told you, what did I say? It all depends on how you feel about that energy. So for some of the energy right now, it's going to be like, this is nice. Oh, I feel like, yeah, it's okay. Everything's like, no, everything's done. We don't have to do anything. We can just, some of this energy is a little bit of hang back and wait. This is a little bit of hurry up and wait energy. I have to stress is potentially happening around something right now. It's almost some of that moment that feels like a little bit of like pause. And for some of the energy, I'm telling you, some of the energy is going to love this right now. If you're like a water sign, if you're just gonna be like, this is great. If you're an air or fire sign, this might be like, this is too still. It's too still. Like you want to shake things up. There could even be someone who like potentially like, I have to stress, don't let yourself get triggered today if you're feeling this, because this is that unnameable feeling of like peace, that some energy just like, it doesn't feel like peace. It feels like it almost creates that sense of frustration or anxiety. But masculine and feminine energy right now, even in the divine union frequency, you may be articulating and discussing this to a certain degree, right? This is one of those moments, I told you, a lot of internal exploration right now, unpacking these are deeper conversations that are happening right now in the divine union frequency. This is that energetic heaviness. Masculine and feminine in the divine union frequency, this is going to feel, this is going to feel like one of those moments that the only thing hard about it is that you're looking at these things and you're not being able to effectively energetically assist another person in them. This is a type of unpacking that you don't necessarily unpack with someone because you feel like you're trying to help build a point on it. It's more of that internal unpacking that you can unpack with someone indefinitely, but really ultimately it's not really something that one can energetically engage or act upon. Masculine and feminine coming into the divine union frequency. This is the clarity. This is the perceptual shift right now that's occurring in relationality to anything that came before coming into the divine union frequency. And a lot of it, I got to stress right now, I'm just going to say it. I'm going to point this out. I don't want anyone getting into this modality and looking back and seeing someone in more of a negative light. I don't want you to overly correct in something like this right now and look at something from like this point of being like, over amplifying the energy outside situations or circumstances or even one's own self that may have led to any of those clarifying moments. Because what we're almost energetically seeing to a certain extent right now is this moment that not only is something here happening in relationality to the energy that's coming into the divine union frequency, looking at their own past life path with a point of new perception. It is also the replacement of the energy that was on that path with a deeper set of understanding, right? When we look at something with a different perception, the way we view others in that perceptual shift can also shift. So we see even now, whatever this is that's potentially happening in relationality to the energy entering the divine union frequency, it's also potentially reframing not just how you perceive things, but how you perceived others from those past circumstances and experiences. Masculine and feminine energy that is in separation. This is that moment that feels like that liminal space between one energetic cycle closing out versus another one beginning. There's like a Venn diagram here. One feels like it's pulling away. One feels like it's starting up again. A lot of this energy just had kind of like what may have felt like a rebuilding moment, a moment of profound, deep clarity, seeing someone who truly is recognizing a need for change, not for the sake of another, but for the sake of themselves, feeling like that point of path alignment, or a final moment of feeling that certainty that the path you have chosen of separation was the right one, amplified by potentially seeing an energy that either does not show an ability or capacity or desire to change, to come into alignment with your own path, or an energy that is too, for the feminine, or an energy that is too malleable, too changeable, too willing to break off their own life path for the sake of following the masculine to any indeterminate conclusion. Both of these energies saying, I am wishing that energy well. I'm moving away from it because that is the healing gesture. One looking and saying, I'm not facilitating healing in this space. In fact, I feel like the more that we are together, it's amplifying the negative instead of the positive. A lot of this energy making that hard choice of saying, I'd rather release you and let you go to find your own path than watch your own, to watch us create that space or place that we're moving out of alignment with our own highest purpose. For a lot of that energy, that is that moment that, again, this is that calm, that cathartic calm before the new energetic cycles begin, that is amplifying that feeling, potentially even making new connections right now in the process of telling those connections. This is a very weird time for me. I don't know if I'm ready to come into relationship. I'm telling you, a lot of these energies are almost saying to one another, I don't know if I'm ready to come into relationship because I'm just coming out of something that was really, really hard. And the energy saying, yeah, I know. Me too. I told you, bumping into each other in the darkness and having this moment of uncertainty in relationality to what direction to move into. Fourth card in our 5-card spread for today is Hermit. It's a nice moment. It's a nice moment. I have to say, even I told you a lot of this energy right now, some of this energy has been forcing themselves out. I told you some of this energy realized the amplification of a karmic connection that was so strong that they realized that they couldn't even just stay in solitude because the urge to reconnect because of the feeling of solitude was so much that it was almost energetically forcing them out right now because they didn't want to move back into that energy of going into a connection because the passion center was pulling them so strongly while in points of solitude or isolation. So we see even now, this is almost the feminine and masculine energy that's going through this moment right now, and they're even looking at the new energetic connections they're making, and they're saying to themselves, I don't want to just be in connection with you because of that solitude. Right? This is what you see, this level of care and discernment some of this energy is experiencing right now, coming into divine union, almost saying to each other, I don't want to just move into union with someone because I'm afraid of being alone. This is the energy right now that is moving with a lot more slowness, as it were, in relationality to this, specifically because this energy is almost saying to them, to the new energetic connections that they're making, I just came into separation. I'm just moving through this right now. I want to amplify. I don't want to feel like, I don't want you to feel like you are the rebound. I don't want you to feel like I'm just throwing myself into you. I want to take this slowly so that we move with intentionality. So both of these energies almost saying to each other, let's go slow because I'm in the process of healing from something that is still very painful. Both of these energies in alignment, masculine and feminine in separation. Masculine and feminine coming into the divine union frequency. This is the reason we see a lot of the energy coming into the divine union frequency is looking back on the situations and circumstances that may have led them to come into the divine union frequency with a new set of clarity. Why is the energy doing this right now? This is the amplification of saying, I couldn't see something the way I see it now. I didn't have these eyes back then. I didn't have this vantage point. I wasn't here in this frequency. I didn't have this perception. I need to look back on everything. I need to look back on everything, because this is that modality of someone saying, I thought I knew everything. I didn't know anything, right? So we see that even now, a lot of the energy right now that's coming into the divine union frequency is moving forward with that sense of clarity, of focus, reassessing. And this is a lot of internal energy of journeying within the self and building energetic connections in the process, because being like, this is something you may be recognizing someone else is doing as well. The energy of the counterpart. Masculine and feminine energy in the divine union frequency. This is a lot of that moment that we're seeing that is almost, it's like one of these moments that I see here. I feel like there may be a lot of energy that's very quiet right now in the divine union frequency. Why is this effectively energetically happening right now? Because these energies are trying to be very tender with one another. It's not the fact that the energy in the divine union frequency doesn't have anxieties and doubts and fears. What does the energy in the divine union frequency do? They try to act as clear mirrors for each other. That doesn't mean that anything that's in here just like comes out of your mouth. It's take that moment of consideration, of care, of concern, of recognizing and identifying and asking oneself, what is what you want to amplify? What do you want to put forth? Versus what do you want to like hold back? And we see here, and I need to stress this isn't the type of energy that is holding back because they feel like they're keeping something from another energetic connection. This is that moment of saying, I don't want to I told you, all of these abandonment wounds that were popping up yesterday, this is the difference of an energy parsing out and saying, I don't want to put a fear or anxiety that I know is something that I myself am trying to like push down on another. Because what do we do then? Then we just amplify an abandonment wound that we recognize wasn't even supposed to be there in the first place. So what the energy is effectively doing right now is they're utilizing their own sense of amplifying what they feel like they would need in these times as going through a lot of this internal work, a lot of this internal journeying, both masculine and feminine energy right now, holding each other's hands energetically, as it were, on the way, even in the divine union frequency, while also recognizing and identifying this is that separation point that we all energetically experience, even when we are going through situations and circumstances that amplify the fact that we see that the other is going through something, but we can't energetically help them with it. What do we do when we see something that we can't energetically help someone with because it is something that they internally experience? We say to them, you are not alone in doing that. I am here with you. Even when you feel like you are alone within, know that I am here without. That is the energy that we see, that the energy in the divine union frequency is almost saying to one another, to build that sense of reassurance, saying there's one thing I can tell you in relationality to anything that you're feeling or fearing. I will be there with you. That is the bond of the energetic connection that's occurring right now for the energy in the divine union, even as they're doing a lot of that internal journeying. Well, there's the fifth card for today's spread, and oh, are we not surprised to see it? Speaking of abandonment wounds, look who decided to show up on cue. Perfect timing. Thank you for not being late. Masculine and feminine energy. And this is how, look at this. This is how you heal the abandonment wound. Do you need the abandonment wound to go away? No. The abandonment wound. You're not going to have to face the abandonment wound alone. That is what the energy, look, what is the abandonment wound scream? What does the abandonment wound scream into the void? The abandonment wound screams, I am going to be alone. I am going to be alone and I'm going to be scared. And what is the energy in the divine union frequency affirming to one another, even as they go through a lot of that internal journeying? No, you will not. No, you will not. You will not be alone. I will be here with you. I will be here with you. That is the counterpart energy's affirmation, even as someone is going through that experience of saying, there's something untenable here. There's something you're going through internally. I cannot touch that. I cannot reach into you and pull that out. I can't shine a light on it because it is within you. But what can you affirm to someone that is experiencing that? You do not have to experience that by yourself. I will be here with you every step of the way in that dark night. Masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union. This is that modality of perception that is healing a lot of the energy, feeling that abandonment wound popping up, a lot of the energy coming into divine union going, there you are, come here. Grabbing it because that's that moment saying to yourself, what did the energy of the divine union experience recently? If everything's going so fine, why am I feeling so anxious? If everything's going so peachy, why do I worry that something bad is going to happen? That is identifying one's abandonment wound. That is isolating it. That is securing it. A lot of the energy right now is effectively like zeroing in on what that is. Why? Because the energy in the divine union is looking and grabbing their abandonment wound and saying, if you screw this up for me, I swear to, like, this is the energy that's trying to find their own abandonment wound to say, why do you keep trying to mess things up? Why do you keep popping up in me and trying to move me away from what it is that I desire, right? This is like grabbing the abandonment wound by the scruff of the neck. So we see even now that ability to do that to a certain extent right now for a lot of the energy in the divine union frequency. This is that personal observation that's so fascinating because it's not just looking back at the path work of the past with new clarity and also looking at the individuals with that new perception. It's also looking at your own self with that perception and isolating the abandonment wound that may have caused some of the amplification of some of those fractures in the past. Masculine and feminine energy in separation. This is that modality that feels suddenly, what did I say that's happening right now? Someone stumbling along in the dark? You bumped into somebody? Sorry about that. I didn't see you there. I didn't see you there either. Oh, suddenly you've got a lot in common. Something's starting up there. I want to move very slowly. I'm just coming out of something really difficult. Me too. I was going to say the same thing. You took the words right out of my mouth. Some of the energy right now in separation is already getting some kind of affirmation that you are not alone on this path. That path that you are putting yourself on, you thought you were going to have to walk it alone. You thought that you were the only one experiencing this. This is that moment that we're seeing that even now the universe is giving you those signs and saying you are not alone on this journey. You're on a path. And there's others that are also walking that path. So even if this isn't leading to some kind of like robust, energetic, emotional connection of love just like blossoming and flourishing, because love doesn't work like that, this is that moment that shows that true compassionate energy of saying, oh, they're going through it too. I'm not alone. There's others that are experiencing this. We're all experiencing this. That is that moment that is feeling the amplification of someone saying, doing that right thing, making that hard choice. That's not a singular journey. There's other energy doing that work. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our moon card in combination with our wheel of fortune in its transverse. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Four of Swords in its reversal. Masculine and feminine energy in the divine union frequency. This modality is, again, that sense of reassurance. It's that moment, and I told you, the energy of the divine union frequency is moving forward more in that space or place of recognizing what is the amplification of the energy if they're feeling any of this stillness, any of this frustration, either feeling this as something that feels like it is peaceful and cathartic, or feeling like this is something that feels overwhelming or foreboding. It really depends on where you are energetically. It really depends. Either someone's like, this is nice, or I need to get out from under this feeling. This is that energy saying it's going to pass. Like this energy will pass. This will also pass over. This will also move through, right? This is almost like the energy in the divine union, being in the divine union long enough that you can recognize that even that modality, when you're feeling it, the important thing is not letting yourself get too comfortable in it, because it's that moment or that sensation of recognizing that the only thing you know with certainty is that it will change. It won't stay like that forever. It's not going to feel like this forever. So while this may feel like a little bit of, I have to say, it's a little bit of that like heavy blanket energy right now, right? It's a little bit of that kind of energy, a lot of that like more in that more internalized path work. The energy is almost saying to themselves, this is not, I'm not going to feel like this forever. I felt like this before. These are things that come and go, right? They come in waves. So we see even now that energy is almost utilizing this. What is the energy right now of the divine union doing? Making the best out of it. Why don't I just utilize this? What is this energy? What is this energy good for? It's good for a lot of internal unpacking is what we see here. That's what we see that's happening. It's good for a lot of picking up things that you know you need to do. It's good for a lot of like revisiting things, as it were. So a lot of energy right now in terms of picking things up that you may have put down to be able to ascertain in this point of stillness anything that you want to like readdress, if you will. Masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union. This feels like a rebirth. This is the energy, this feels like rebirth energy. This feels like rebirth energy for a lot of the energy coming into divine union. This is like a lot of that energy of feeling like, wow, everything I thought needs to shift here. Coming into divine union, going, everything I thought, I need to view it with a new perception. I'm in a different place. I need to look at my own self. And look, I found this abandonment wound. What the heck was this doing in here? That ability to see that is that moment of being like, I'm becoming someone else. The divine union frequency, that is that moment of saying like someone feeling that shift and that point of understanding. And it does feel, a lot of that energy feels a little bit more akin to rebirth. It's Easter. Yeah, it's Easter. Fun. All right, continuing here. Sorry. Continuing on this, energy and separation. It's like when they're on the nose. Energy and separation right now. What are we energetically seeing? So masculine and feminine energy that is coming through this right now. What we're identifying and recognizing has to do, again, with that modality in separation. You're going through this period, or you're going through this experience right now that feels like it's very energetically heavy. This feels like kind of a lot of the energy right now that is in separation. I feel like I can feel this weight. I can feel this blanket. This feels like a mourning period. This feels like someone who's like got their head down. They're staring at their shoes and they're bonking right into someone in the process of that moment. And this is the moment that says like, is this the end of something? Yeah. Is it the beginning of something new? Yeah. That's how it works. So even now we see that a lot of this energy right now, not being sure that is happening, but feeling some kind of energetic signal here that says that there's something here, that like there's a light at the end of that tunnel. There's something about this being, I'm not going to feel like this forever. This is just how I feel now. I just need to continue to put one foot in front of the other. Seeing the stirrings of life that are giving you that sense that even if you're going through something that feels like it's energetically heavy now, it's not going to feel like that forever. It's going to get easier every step of the way. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Wheel of Fortune in its transverse in combination with our Two of Cups in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with the Page of Swords. I can already hear it. I can already hear the energy that's starting up with these new energetic cycles going, I don't want to start up a new energetic cycle. I don't want it. I don't want it. I don't want it. Like, this is the energy that's almost saying this to the energy that they're encountering in separation. I didn't expect to be here. I didn't even want to be. This is not where I wanted to be. Like I'm not. I don't know how to do this. This is like a lot of this energy right now. It's almost amplifying and saying to themselves, I am not. I am not in separation, because I was like, woo, yeah, separation. This is energy saying I am in separation because I had no choice. I had no choice. I want to get back into union. This is literally the energy that's saying I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm not great about being here. It's not somewhere I expected or anticipated to be, and yet I find myself here. So I told you, this energy almost encountering each other that feels almost like that like moment of surprise and uncertainty, or even someone feeling like I'm not even sure how to do this kind of energy, because this is the energy right now that, again, if this is the closing out of some very deep karmic cycles right now. This is some deep, deep karmic cycles that are coming into a closure point. So for the energy that's here, this is almost that moment of saying, I didn't expect that karmic cycle to come to a closure point. So we see and recognize right now that for a lot of that energy, that ability to even see that is the amplification of saying like, oh, they're in the exact same place that I am. Masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union. This is that moment that can sometimes feel like energetically mortifying to a certain extent, right? This is why we see now, this is that moment. What happens when we have a perceptual shift? We look back and go, I didn't know anything. I was looking at things completely in the wrong way, right? So a lot of the energy coming into the divine union frequency, your own ability, what we appreciate about this isn't coming into a space or place of righteousness. The energy coming into divine union frequency isn't looking back and going, oh my gosh, I know everything now. I've got complete clarity on everything that's occurred prior to this moment. Yay for me. Pin a rose on my nose. No, the energy in the divine union frequency is reminding themselves and saying, I see everything different now. I thought I saw everything best before. I don't even know what I'm going to see tomorrow. Like that's that moment that opens one's eyes to like your own uncertainty in relationality to how you're considering things and how you're looking back on your own path work. Because it's that moment that is the beautiful amplification of feeling like a rebirth process and saying, in a rebirth, you say, I've got so much to learn. I've got so much to reassess. I've got to go through that whole book again. I read that book once. I thought I understood all of it. I need to go back in. I missed all the important stuff. This is a lot of people doing this on their own life path, being like, I need to reassess. I need to reassess, right? So that's that moment that's potentially happening for the energy coming into the divine union frequency. Why? It's because, like, again, it's almost like the energetic frequency is like, okay, this is what you actually need to learn, right? This is what you actually need to learn. Here's what you really need to learn right now, right? That's beautiful, right? That's that amplification in coming into that higher version of self. Masculine and feminine in the divine union frequency. This is that modality that is best expressed right now in giving each other energetic support. Because for the energy moving in the divine union frequency right now, one of the things that we're effectively seeing that is happening is that modality of feeling some of this, like you're just feeling some of this like energetic blanket. For some of the energy, you're going to love it. You're going to love this blanket. You're going to be like, this is a cozy blanket. I don't want to go anywhere. I don't want to do anything. It's going to literally create, I'm seeing here, energetic lethargy for some of the energy, especially the energy that is more inclined to be especially the energy that is more inclined to be water signs, or if you are a earth sign. For the energy that is fire signs and air signs, this is going to drive you batty. It's going to drive you nuts. It's not going to feel like something that may feel energetically great for you. It may feel uncomfortable because it feels like it is dampening, right? So we see here that for the fire and the air signs, this is going to feel more like the energy of being like, I need to do something about this, right? But not being able to energetically place it. What are these energies doing right now? Almost honestly being able to just help each other on the way. Somebody, that's the only problem with here, especially if you're a fire sign connected to like an earth sign right now or vice versa. One person's going to want to run out. The other person's going to stay in. This is like making sure that like you really just got to find someone who like handles this energy the same way that you handle it. That's all I got to tell you. Because if you find the wrong counterpart right now, the frustration point is that this is such a polarizing feeling that it may be that moment of being like, nobody wants to do what I want to do with this right now. Okay. continuing on this right now, clarification between our Two of Cups in its reversal in combination with our Hermit energy. One card to clarify, please. No, geez. Yeah, because here's the problem with it. I gotta stress right now. Listen right now. This kind of energy can sometimes bring out the worst in you, because it's that moment that wants you to indulge in what feels like it is energetically easy, right? So what is happening right now? Like, the energy is like, it is amplifying the catalyst traits in all of the signs. So the mass so, like, again, if someone likes to rest, they're going to really want to lean into resting today. If someone wants to has a tendency of really wanting to have fun, they're going to really lean into wanting to have fun today. It's almost that moment that feels like that desire to go into the creature comforts to navigate this feeling for the energy in the divine union frequency may feel a little frustrating, because that's that moment that you better hope that you have someone that likes to do the same thing that you want to do in relationality to creature comforts, or you're going to have a little bit of a dispute in relationality to how you want to deal with today. What your plan is. Someone being like, I need to go out, and someone being like, I cannot go out. You could not pay me enough to go out. If you put like $1 million in front of me, I would not step out of my door today. That's because this is the amplification of the indulgent traits right now that's potentially happening due to that feeling. I told you, that stillness. Sometimes that stillness is the hardest energy to deal with, because that's either that moment that either feels like you like it and you want more of it, or you need to get the heck away from it, right? So a lot of that is navigating the abandonment wound. Make sure that you're doing that in a healthy way today, okay? Don't overindulge. Don't let yourself get like in your headspace about it. Just allow yourself, it's actually really funny. This is really funny. They're actually saying to me, better to indulge in what you enjoy indulging in, like a little bit more to excess, than to let that to ease the abandonment wound, than actually just to like let the abandonment wound override and dominate. So a lot of self-indulgent, cozy creature thingies today is what I'm basically seeing. The only problem with it is that that in itself might be somehow polarizing, especially in the divine union frequency. Masculine and feminine energy coming into the divine union frequency. This is what I meant about not letting yourself get all self-righteous. Congratulations. If you're having that perception shift, I don't want you to get overwhelmed by it, okay? Don't I mean that in a very loving, nice fashion. I mean that in the way that I don't want you to move into that state of righteousness and suddenly looking at the path that led to this point only from the view that everything prior to what you found now was wrong or bad or the wrong thing to do, right? This ability to recognize and see things from another perspective sometimes has that ability point in making energy look back on things with too much of that energetic weight of judgment in relationality to past experiences and circumstances. So making sure that you observe that with a state and space of empathy is incredibly important at this time, because that is that modifying factor in recognizing the difference between coming into a state of amplification in relationality to how one is feeling, recognizing how much it took to find yourself on that journey of self, even if that's leading one into partnership, versus that ability to recognize that the things and the situations that led you there were all the lessons on the way. Of course, you're going to see yourself as a moment or modality of improvement if that has occurred, because it took all of that work to reach into that space of being able to find oneself. You can't necessarily throw the, you can't negate that experience. You can't say that that wasn't important. What you have to effectively amplify is that point of recognizing that observational point, that even that is a pathwork of integration. Your own ability to integrate those lessons in a way that feels like it is supportive to you is really important, because that's that moment that you may be like necessarily trying to say like, that was all not for me. That was that moment of saying all of that work, had I not experienced it, wouldn't have led me to who I am today, or what I have found within myself today, or the partnership that I've eventually found in this way. That ability of seeing that with that point of optics and clarity leaves room to be able to incorporate and integrate the lesson of the difficulty points, the things that may have had an unhealthy sway on you that you've now effectively or energetically broken free from. Continuing on this path right now, for the energy in separation, this is that modality that the energy in separation right now is moving with a tremendous degree of care and caution. Why is that effectively happening right now? Well, for a lot of this energy that is in separation, this is that modality that we see even now. This is the energy saying, I don't want to get back into partnership, because the energy itself doesn't feel like coming into partnership is the solution around the circumstance or experience. Do you even see now how a lot of this energy that's effectively going through this right now, this is that moment that like it's like they're still, this energy is healing so much right now that they don't want to just throw themselves into some sort of energetic connection. Why don't they want to throw themselves into the energetic connection? Because I basically articulated this energy does not want another energy to be the path point for facilitating healing. This is a type of energy that is moving forward with a great degree of care and caution, having recognized something that they had to pull away from because they felt like it was unhealthy. This is the energy almost like saying to themselves, even if I'm feeling like there's a connection here, the energy is almost pushing away at a time that they're feeling a gravitation towards a new energetic connection, saying, I don't want to just rush into something too quickly. I don't want to facilitate something that feels like it's immediately bringing me back into a space when I'm still recovering from the last space that I had to learn these lessons with. So we love to see this energy in alignment here, because this is both energies saying same. The other person even saying, listen, I don't know. And the other person going, same. This is literally energy going, I'm just looking for a friend. Like, this is literally energy going, I'm just looking for a friend. But guess what? Like, yes, even that you're in alignment with right now. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Hermit in its reversal and our Three of Pentacles in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Ace of Pentacles in its reversal. Masculine and feminine energy that is in the divine union frequency. I told you, one of the only hurdles right now is if you're in partnership with an energy that is effectively like the polarized sun, like sign to you, their ability of navigating what they aspire to do today versus what you aspire to do, it may feel like it is a little counterproductive. Because I'm telling you, this type of energetic heaviness is bringing out the extremes in relationality to what someone enjoys to do with that like sense of like energetic weight. So if you are a water sign and a earth sign, you're probably not going to want to get off the couch today. If you are an air sign or a fire sign, you cannot move around enough today, right? That's the beauty though of the counterpart energies, even if you're in the divine union frequency, because that's that moment that amplifies the fact that this isn't codependent energy. This isn't energy that feels like it needs to be strapped to the hip at every moment. This is that moment of recognizing the ability to effectively, energetically desire to do different things. And that doesn't mean that it energetically changes the shape of your partnership, as it were. It's just that moment of recognizing and understanding and feeling to a certain degree that you guys have those different preferences today. So even now, in terms of like collaboration energy and the divine union frequency, you might not necessarily get a lot done today. But in a way, it feels like it is rewarding, because this is that moment that we're almost seeing that you're energetically rewarding yourself for your own ability in terms of having that modality of like breaking into points of spontaneity. A lot of this energy right now, I told you, some of the energy is going to be like cleaning like crazy today. Some of the energy is going to be relaxing like crazy today. It really just feels like what you like, but all of those energies are like the self-indulgent act of what you do when you're feeling a little bit of that abandonment wound flaring up, right? So if you like to worry clean, I bet you're going to be clean, like scrubbing the floors today, okay? But that's why we're even saying now, they're actually saying to me, better to do that in a positive, productive, healthy way, something that feels like it is restorative, putting that in a practical space or place rather than letting it amplify what you might do when an abandonment wound flares up, right? That's why we see now someone saying like, this could be, there's that joke or that meme saying this could be something so much worse than I'm doing now. Like this could be like whatever you're doing here. Like it's almost like that. It's giving oneself that like that small gift or that small reward to help mitigate any of those feelings of anxiety or uncertainty. So we see even now, this is actually like, it's restive energy, but it is productive. Okay. Masculine and feminine energy coming into the divine union frequency. This is where I'm seeing here. I need to stress this for a lot of the energy coming into the divine union frequency right now. Recognize that it's all, you could not remove any of it. If you're having some kind of deep insight on your own path work now, and you're looking at something that occurred with brand new eyes, and you're suddenly having like vastly different opinions on both where you were in those experiences or the energy that was around you at those times, remember that all of it was a part of the lesson that brought you into who and where you are today. All of it was valuable. All of it was important. Even if it was difficult, even if you feel like you didn't see it in the right way, hindsight's 20/20, your own perception shifts. Remember that that's that moment that if you appreciate and value where you are now, were it not for any of that, you would not find yourself in this modality. So having that point of being able to amplify on that lesson today is incredibly, incredibly important, is what I'm seeing. Making sure that you don't move from that space or place of righteousness or looking at something with like a very skewed lens with the perceptual shift that occurs potentially, distorting your own view on things. That is that moment that like is almost asking for that expression and expansion of compassion. The compassion that you're feeling now, almost trying to energetically send it back into the past. Look back on those experiences with that same level and degree of compassion that you're feeling now if you have just discovered compassion. Masculine and feminine energy that is in separation. This is that modality of trepidation that we're energetically seeing while feeling that affirmation in relationality to the feeling of just getting started on some kind of new cycle. We see here that for a lot of this energy is almost amplifying that like I told you, we saw a lot of this, that feeling of saying, I didn't want to be here. This is not where I expected to be. I'm going to do the best that I can with it, but I was hoping for something much different. These energies in separation are finding each other and they're saying same. That is the start of something, isn't it? Finding two energetic connections that both look at the other and say, I did not expect to be here. I did not expect to experience this. I did not expect to find myself here. Finding the energy that says same. Well, that's the start of something, isn't it? Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Four of Swords in its reversal in combination with our Page of Swords in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now. Here we go. We got double aces out today, right? Masculine and feminine energy in divine union. I'm getting you the energetic equivalent saying you deserved a break. You deserve a break. The energy in the divine union frequency right now is literally saying to themselves, I deserve a break. I deserve a treat. I deserve a snack. And this is that modality that's almost saying that this is almost amplifying and saying that the rest is also a part of the work. That this is that moment that's almost the amplification of even looking at some of that indulgent energy that we're seeing that's helping with some of that energetic heaviness today. And almost saying to oneself, I told you, what you feel is I'm getting here, I keep getting the message of small indulgence. Giving yourself a small indulgence because you're doing something that's very hard. So a lot of this energy right now is either accomplish something that is very difficult or in the process of doing something that's very difficult. And so today is, I told you, little tiny reward kind of energy. Like, oh, we've earned this kind of, it's a little bit of that. So depending on where you are right now and this is where it becomes astrological, depending on where you are astrologically, what that energetically feels like as a little gift to yourself, it's going to deviate, it's going to shift. But that's what we're almost seeing to a certain extent. right? Like that's like we deserve little treats energy. Masculine and feminine that are coming into the divine union frequency. This is that moment that we are effectively seeing right now that's almost amplifying that sensation. I told you, your ability to feel like you are having some kind of victory or you've crossed some kind of threshold, this accomplishment of moving into the divine union frequency, it shifts the landscape on the past. It can be unsettling. It's almost that moment being like, wow, I didn't think that when I was here I would think like this, because that's that moment that is amplifying the fact that you're energetically in the divine union frequency. It's a perceptual shift built and supported via V connection. So we see right now, for a lot of the energy right now, that ability to recognize that your accomplishment in coming into the divine union frequency is looking back at past experiences with a whole new set of eyes. That's an impressive journey. That's an important moment. That's an important landscape. But even again, being able to articulate that for your own self in a way that allows for a level or degree of empathy and compassion is effectively also a milestone in that, because that is that moment of amplifying and not looking back and saying everything was wrong prior to this, saying no, that was all necessary to lead me forth on this journey to where I find myself now. Were it not for that, clumsy kid, I would not know how to walk. Were it not for that mistake, I would not have learned that lesson. So that ability, and were it not for that person that was like, a catastrophe, I would not have been able to learn that lesson either. So being able to identify and recognize that is how we look towards situations and circumstances that allow us to look back on the past without just putting that like negativity towards every moment prior to that point. That's that moment of putting that love and compassion and empathy towards those past experiences and saying, they all led here. They all led me here, and that's where I shall embrace them. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now, the energy you're probably hitting this moment where potentially you're meeting new energy that's very much in the same boat. There's a lot of this energy that we're effectively seeing right now that is feeling like that amplification point in relationality to that situation or circumstance that, again, you're still feeling like you're still holding something about that past experience. You're still carrying that energetic wound, right? You're like walking around like this, And what are you doing? You're finding someone else that's walking around like this. And what are you doing to each other? Going, oh, you too, right? And that's that moment that feels like it's that point of alignment, because you're meeting someone energetically that just came through the same process that you did. They made the same hard choices. And this is that moment that even potentially feeling and experiencing, seeing someone, and not even potentially building that immediate passion connection with someone, but just feeling that sense of someone who carries that same difficult journey, like that in its way feels like it validates and vindicates, because that's that moment of saying to oneself, I'm not doing this alone. I'm not walking this path alone. I'm not going to be alone on this path as I do it. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Page of Swords and its reversal and our Devil card. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with Page of Pentacles, masculine and feminine energy right now in the divine union frequency. This is that modality. I told you right now, the only hurdle potentially has to do, again, with that feeling or that expression of recognizing this is the balance point that we're seeing here. And I can even see that a lot of the energy right now that's navigating this and seeing one another, acting as clear mirrors, is almost like that moment that's saying to someone, because it's like, this makes sense, because this feeling coming midweek, all of this makes a lot of sense. This is that moment of someone saying to someone, being like, you can have a little bit of a break today. Don't go too far on the break. Don't go too much in that. You still got a lot of work to do, right? This is like that moment that feels like it's like a little bit of energetic recess, if you will, right? Trying to like get out under that, giving yourself a little bit of that like headspace or clarity to be able to like tackle what you need to tackle, right? So we see even now there's that moment energetically that these energies are like almost like keeping one another on track by reminding each other in the most loving, compassionate way, even if they're doing things that are different, like finding that indulgence point that like feels like the healthy indulgence, saying that's fine, you can have a little bit of a break today, you can have a little bit of that indulgence, just remember, like, you can have one, like it's like you can have that ease, like you can have that little, like that moderation aspect to the indulgence today that is potentially happening around situations or circumstances. Being able to like find that point in helping someone stay focused, but also giving a little bit of that space of enjoyment today. It's like cracking the window a little bit, right? To get a little bit of air, because this is energy that's doing a lot of work right now. And it's just that reminder that like sometimes we get a little bit of that positive in, helps us get back to the work at hand. Masculine and feminine energy that is coming into divine union right now. This is the amplification of having to look back on the past experiences with a new set of clarity, because the question is potentially around these is, what do I do with this? What do I do with this? How is this helpful, right? That's that moment that almost feels like that point of productivity, because that understanding of self that comes as you come into the divine union frequency, what is the energy doing right now? Saying it's okay to talk about it. Walk me through it. Walk me through how you're feeling. Tell me what's up. Because we can even see here that someone's like navigating and talking about their own lessons on their own life path right now, with the amplification of the perceptual shift that potentially occurs when you come into the divine union frequency. And what is the energy doing right now? Tell me more. I'm feeling it too. Can I give you some advice? How can I help? Right? Even now we see that this type of unpacking, the energy in the divine union frequency, is holding each other's hand along the way. They're working through that to a certain extent. They're saying, can I help you carry some of that? And what did I tell you right now? The energy in the divine union frequency is parsing out how they're feeling, navigating through the abandonment wound, which has an ability to catastrophize things, to determine and decide how best to articulate how they're experiencing or feeling something. Even here we see that energy is building that connective energetic tissue along the way as you're moving through that process of reorienting yourself to your own past experience, both via yourself and those who are along on the journey in the process. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now for masculine and feminine energy that is in separation. This modality, this ability, this moment where you're feeling the heaviness, the weight, you're almost saying to yourself, I'm not in any condition to be in a partnership right now. I'm still struggling. I don't even know if I'm out of one yet. This is someone like moving through the mud, trying to like push away from something that they're feeling the full weight and heaviness of. This is the energy of these are the new energetic partnerships going. Do you need a hand? I'm in it too. Maybe I can help you. This is the energy that is finding one another and knows empathetically, without even having to say it, what someone's going through. You know what I did when I was doing that? Here, let me help you with that. What can I do? And almost potentially looking for tangible ways to help someone through what they realize and experience that they're going through that is hard for them to articulate on. Even that moment. Saying, can I help you with that? Can I do this? Can we and again, almost amplifying and saying that the energy of saying, like, we're not alone in this. I'm here too. You know, like that ability to identify this right now. That is that expression, as it were, of these energies energetically working with one another right now to help facilitate a moment that they both feel that confusion, energetically healing from something that they wish that they could fix, but they don't think that there's anything else that they can do. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Page of Swords in its reversal in combination with our Ace of Pentacles in its reversal. One card to clarify. Look at all of this, both of them today. Both of them. We got both of the energies right. It's Easter. I'm not surprised. Like, wait, to lay it on thick. It's fine. It's fine. All right. Masculine and feminine energy in the divine union frequency. This is that modality that we're effectively seeing to a certain extent. This is that modality. And I think the only thing about this right now is, again, that like literally this energy today. I have to stress I have to stress, if you have unhealthy coping mechanisms today, no, you don't. I don't even want you looking at them. Okay. No, you don't. You don't have them. Okay. You're healed from them. All right. You don't have them, because here's the thing, looking at this right now, this type of energy here, this is that moment. This is the energy of the energy in the divine union that's feeling that need of being like, I just want to go all in doing nothing today. I want to go all in doing the thing that is the perfect expression of what I like to do when I don't want to do anything. But with the reminder of someone saying, but I got to do something tomorrow. I got to do something tomorrow. I can't do that today because I got to do something tomorrow. I got stuff to do. I got miles to go. Okay. The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I got miles to go. Right? We've got that energy that's like coming up today. All right. So what we're effectively seeing here for a lot of this energy is finding that midpoint, finding that like healthy, positive way to indulge a little bit, because you've been doing a lot of that heavy energetic lifting. This is like feeling like that little like energetic spiritual coffee break, if you will, but also like recognizing and saying, I'm doing this to give myself like a little boost back up, so I can power through and get the things done that I need to get doing. Masculine and feminine energy that is coming into the divine union frequency right now, what we're effectively or energetically seeing, has to do, again, this is the reopening of chapters and pages that you thought that you had read. You thought that you knew that story. You thought that you knew that story of yourself. Can't really know the story if you got a different perception on it. And your own perception on what you're experiencing has suddenly making you feel like you're casting a little bit of a shadow over your own self, being like, wait, if I'm feeling so different, if I'm seeing things so different here, what does that look like through these eyes? What does that look like through this shift in perception? So that clarity of understanding is one that we see is almost allowing a lot of this like energetic, this is like the intentional force dark night of the soul, if you will. Someone doing, I got to reinvestigate something that I thought that I had, figured out for myself, because I realized that I'm seeing things from a different way. So that is like one of these moments that we're almost seeing that is like allowing for that point of energetic unpacking of one's own journey to have that better sense of understanding of the self. Masculine and feminine coming into the divine union. That's effectively what we're seeing here. Now, the energy in separation, this is that moment. I'm just seeing the amplification point of feeling to some capacity, like when all hope was lost. Feeling that moment of energetic exhaustion, if you will. Having that moment of feeling like, I'm releasing something. Are you releasing something? Are you releasing something? Or is something now beginning? Are you releasing something, or is something now beginning? Because your ability to make that action of release is now what is allowing for something new to begin. So we see even now that moment of someone feeling and saying, I've done everything I can do. I can't do anything else. This is all that's left. This is the end of that. Or is it the beginning? Is it the moment of you saying, I'm done with that? You are now allowing for that new beginning to come through, right? It's hard, it's heavy, but nonetheless, continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Ace of Swords in combination with our Page of Pentacles. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Three of Wands. Energetically, what are we seeing that's occurring right now for a lot of the energy that is coming into the divine union frequency? This is, I mean, let's start with the energy and separation. Let's back up. The energy and separation, what is happening here? The funny part about the energy and separation is I can literally hear them howling, going, I don't want to begin. Like, this is the energy going, I don't want to begin again. This is that energy that's almost saying to each other, saying, no, like, I'm not, no. Like, it's giving like that. It's giving that type of energy. But that's the energy of almost immediately feeling and saying, this is different. There's something that they're already saying and saying, this feels different. There's something different here. Something different is occurring, right? Because that's the universe hearing you. That's the universe hearing you. If you're going, I don't want any more of that. This is the universe going, taken. No, thank you. Okay, good. Good. We heard you loud and clear. Here's something different. Here's something different, right? That's that moment that we're seeing even now. And it's built on manifestations go in many different ways. Manifestations can also work in being like, I don't want that. And the universe goes, okay, well, how about this? This is why I'm saying it's really important to lay out your manifestations right now. All right. Masculine and feminine energy coming into the divine union. This is why I'm telling you right now, I want you to make sure that you keep your past self, you keep your expression and your perception on the past in a space or place that feels like it is energetically supportive and healing to all those around you, including yourself and including the energy that may have been in that modality. Because this is that moment that we see that what occurs is when we come into that moment, when we come into these perceptual shifts, it's really easy to start building an energetic blind spot. It's really easy to start building a spiritual energetic blind spot and to looking at things with a sense of righteousness, looking at things with a sense of feeling, oh, I know better than anything or anyone. So being able to navigate this space or place with a moment or modality of grace and empathy and kindness for your own journey to a certain extent is incredibly important. Because that's that moment that you have to remember that there was a time that you thought you knew everything. Right? You can't look back on your own self and say, I thought I knew everything. Did you? Do you know everything now? Can't do that, can you? No. You're doing it again. You're doing it again. Okay? Making sure that you keep that modality and saying that the moment you say, oh, I know everything now. Now I see everything clearly. That's the moment you have to start to walk back off that and question yourself, because that's the moment that you remember that ability to shift perspective, it's always, the possibility is always there. So keeping that open mind, even in relationality to a lot of the understanding that's coming in your own path right now, is effectively helping with a lot of the energy that's coming into the divine union, as it were. Because that's that modality that we see that is helping you maintain that same state of personal empowerment that doesn't feel like it is oppositional. It feels like it is expansive. It feels like something that you want to share with others, as opposed to feeling like you want to close the gate as you walk through, right? So that ability of doing that and facilitating that energetic feeling right now, we see is amplifying even for the energy coming into the divine union. And what we're seeing to a certain extent is a lot of that energy is almost already feeling that sense of saying, like, one day I might go back there. One day I might try to heal that. But not today. Not today. Today I need to focus on going forward. So both of these energies right now are almost unpacking and talking about that specifically, potentially with one another, saying, one day I would like to try to fix that. One day I would like to mend that fence. Not today. No way, not today. But someday, right? Even now we see that energy is in a way moving in that sense of like repair, because they're talking about what they feel like they are taking their own accountability for on their life path to be able to like effectively amplify what they want to be able to like energetically put something forth to heal, but not yet. Because that's that moment of the energy, almost feeling that sense and saying, I need to concentrate here and now on what we are creating prior to taking on a side quest or taking on a side project. I need to focus on the priority right now. That's the energy coming into the divine union. Masculine and feminine that are in the heart of the divine union, This is that modality that we're effectively or energetically seeing to a certain extent. That's relational to the fact that like the energy right now is just not feeling that sense of wanting to like, this is putting down the work, if you will, a little bit today. This is like having that moment of saying to oneself, like, I know what I need to do. I just need a little meh from it. I just need a little meh. I need a little break. And that ability to a certain extent of saying like, meh, I just need a little bit of that is effectively empowering the energy to feel like they can push forward, because that's the difference between refusing to like want to see the work that you need to do versus saying, I need to step back from it a little bit. I need a little bit of a breathing room from it. That'll give me like that extra energy to push forward, as it were. Both of these energies almost amplifying that and giving it to one another, but saying, like only to like, only this much, as it were. Continuing, masculine and continuing to get clarity on these between our Page of Pentacles in combination with our 10 of Swords in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with all of these swords in their reversal today. I love this. The only sword not in its reversal today is the sword that we want in its upright, which is the Ace of Swords. So what we're effectively seeing right now, masculine and feminine energy in the divine union frequency. This ability of effectively looking at something right now and ascertaining that ability, like this is the moment that what's really lovely about the energy in the divine union frequency right now is that like moment of basically saying and amplifying that it doesn't require you to constantly like be focusing on the task at hand at every single moment. This is that moment that feels like the amplification, if you will, energetically of identifying that when we allow ourselves those moments of easement, that sometimes gives us that re-encouragement, that extra energetic shove to be able to like push forward in a way. So even now we see that there's something about this energy today, the energy that like is coming into that space or place of like a small energetic indulgence that is giving someone that like that positivity, that like boost, if you will. Is it Ash Wednesday? That boost, if you will, to help someone feel like they can continue forward, as it were. Masculine and feminine energy that is coming into the divine union frequency. This modality that we're effectively seeing here is again that reorientation in relationality to everything that you may have experienced prior to coming into the divine union frequency. It's opening your mind is what we're seeing. It's like energetically opening your mind to the possibilities in relationality to your own path work. So that sense of understanding, we see even now, it can sometimes feel somewhat disorienting because it's almost a lot of that internal energetic unpacking. The energy coming into divine union is assisting each other on the way in that modality, because it's almost that energy saying same, right? It's like you have to look at things and say like, I need to readdress where we are, because now I'm not just looking at it from the perception of the singular. I'm looking at it from the perception of the counterpart energy. And that ability to do that is like that reorientation in terms of saying, I need to look at things in a whole different way. I need to ask myself if there's something I would do now because of that I couldn't see before. Masculine and feminine energy in separation. This is that modality that is amplifying that feeling that feels like that process of, this is that moment. This is that energetic, I want to say it almost feels like that energetic dark night in the soul, if you will, where it's like, you feel that like freedom. You feel yourself almost being energetically freed from a karmic cycle. The question is like what direction you effectively move in the process of that. For a lot of the energy in this modality right now, this feels like that movement towards like a lot of the practical right now. What feels like it is serving you? What feels like it is helping to ground you right now? And most importantly, we see right now that there's a lot of energy in that modality that's saying, how can I help you? Right? Because that's the energy finding itself and saying, if they're going through what I am going through, I know that they probably need like a little energetic help right now in the modality of those small movements, in the modality of those small gestures, right? So we see here again that campfire energy, something that's starting small but feels like it's coming from a very genuine place. Continuing to get clarification. Final cards for today's spread between our Three of Wands in its reversal in combination with our Eight of Swords in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with the Tower. I don't want everyone to don't you dare start panicking because you see this card. I know how you guys get. Don't get all stressed out. We're not afraid of this energy, right? This is that moment that feels like it feels to a certain extent like a catalyst type of energy. Okay? That's kind of the best way that I can articulate this to a certain extent. Because even now, what we like to see with a card like this, okay, particularly with the Three of Wands and our Eight of Wands, is the ability, effectively, in this modality, to almost observe something without reacting to it, right? Allowing that ability, look what's happening here. This is the energy that is facing the Tower. This is the energy that's not addressing the Tower by having that abandonment wound rise up. This is the energy of the healed expression, because that modality that is occurring right now, particularly around a lot of that Tower energy, is best amplified in that modality of remembering that situations don't change you. Situations reveal you. So even now, the energy that's been moving forward right now from a place of integrity, that is a moment that you don't feel afraid when the Tower moments occur, because those are those moments that you feel fortified through them. Because that's that moment of seeing something and allowing it to be a moment of saying, I'm moving forward not from a state or space of fear, but from a state of recognizing what is and is not serving me. What is and is not practical, how to address it, looking at something with a level and degree of confidence in as opposed to anxiety. We see even now that the energy in the divine union frequency, this is that modality that we're effectively seeing to a certain extent that is amplifying their own ability of holding fast and holding firm and saying, we can address what is hard to address. We can address what we fear for the sake of recognizing that we know how we will move through it. So even now, we see energetically that this is the energy in the divine union frequency that is observing and recognizing either internally right now or externally something that almost feels like that feeling of like that heaviness, that weight I told you that we're seeing here. What is the energy of the divine union doing? Are they running from it? Are they allowing their abandonment wound to dictate how they move? No. They're even, to a certain extent, even here, we see that this is the energy that says, I'm going to give myself a little treat because we got to push through this. It's like, this is almost the energy saying, it's okay. We can face this. Can I get a snack on the way? Can I just like take a nap before we do this? Because this is that energetic expression, if you will, of someone effectively looking at something and saying, oh no, I'm not going anywhere. Oh no, I'm going to be able to tackle this. Oh no, I'm not going to move forward from a state of fear. I'm going to allow my expression of what I can do fully like bring forth in this. This is that energy that's holding firm through that. And that's that modality of almost saying, again, what is the expression of the anxiety of fear? I can face anything. I'm not alone. You can face anything because you're not alone. The energetic expression of the divine union is articulating and saying, we can face anything. because you're not going to be alone when you face it. So that energetic expression right now is what is amplifying the energy in the divine union, because that's almost the energy, and that's the energetic union, feeling what almost feels like the energy that feels like the calm before the storm. And what is the energy of the divine union doing? Are they running away from it? No, they're facing it and they're holding fast through it together. And they're doing what they need to in order to give each other what they need to give that point of emotional or energetic support. Masculine and feminine energy right now, what we're effectively seeing is for the energy that is coming into the divine union, that ability, that amplification, that tower moment feels like everything prior to coming into the divine union, you're looking at it and being like, oh my gosh, it was all a tower moment. That's why I'm warning you right now not to allow your own perception to hyperbolize or overly exaggerate what you effectively were able to go through, because it's that moment that, again, when you've moved at enough of a distance away from something, you can look back at it and be like, oh my goodness, holy moly. You know what I mean? So even now, that ability to be able to effectively, energetically look at something, but not just look at it and throw the baby out with the bathwater, say it was all bad, it was all terrible. Having that ability of being able to look at something that now looks a lot worse from the perception of your own viewpoint, but maintaining a level or degree of empathy and an open mind as you do so is incredibly valuable and important right now, because it's very typical, they're saying, that when you move into that divine union frequency, that you have a habit of looking back and being like, all of that was bad, this is good. No, that's not how it works. All of that led you to find yourself. So it makes sense that you're going to look at it and that change of perception is going to make it look a lot worse. That's the amplification of you having progressed on a very important, significant aspect of your journey of the divine union frequency. Masculine and feminine energy that is in separation. This modality that we're effectively energetically seeing right now in separation is that moment that is the amplification that feels like that low point. It feels like that the worst has occurred. A lot of the energy right now, if this is situations or circumstances that you're looking at something and saying, I've done everything I can do to fix something. There is nothing else I can do but let it go. This is that moment that almost, again, amplifies that feeling of sadness, of grief, but also that sense of freedom that's coming through, because you're giving yourself permission, because you're karmically looking at something and you're asking yourself, is there anything else I can do to facilitate this not being a situation that has become so bad that I cannot fix it? And this is that moment that you are giving yourself permission to move away from what you are now identifying is a tower moment. And that's why tower moments are given to us, to help us move away from what is not serving us. Sometimes they can feel very critical, but they do serve a very important foundational purpose. Bottom of the deck on this reading, 5 of Cups. All of the energy right now, this is that energetic heaviness that we're seeing, because again, a lot of this has to do with that sense of recognizing that there's, that continual progression forward is always amplified with that sense of anxiety and grief versus also that sense of productivity. Even in the divine union frequency right now, there is that moment that is amplifying, that something about taking that energetic indulgence point today is like something that is restorative, but there's also something here that is a little bit of that energetic release process, right? Because that's the heaviness or the burden of the work that's occurring for a lot of the energy in the divine union frequency. It's almost that moment that's amplified right now, especially with a lot of the feminine energy, because feminine likes to take on a lot and then feels bad that they can't do it all. The feminine energy feeling that sense of saying, I can only do so much. Masculine doing the same to a certain extent. Moving forward, supporting each other as you go through some of that process. masculine and feminine that are coming into divine union. This modality is that point of effectively, again, energetically looking back at the past with that weight and not letting the grief of understanding overwhelm the breakthrough that you've reached. If you're able to see that thing from a different perspective, if you've created that different opinion on something, being able to, again, the heart expanding exercise of holding space for joy and sadness. While for masculine and feminine energy in separation right now, this is that energy that almost feels like that sense of feeling that purpose driven forward and almost saying to yourself, I don't think I'm ever going to feel that way again. Are you sure about that? Because this is that moment that is almost showing, again, being able to move forward in that sense of grief and sadness. Like that is the healing gesture, because you're doing what you know is necessary. But there are these cups behind you saying, well, why don't we see what's on the other side of that hill? Why don't we just keep walking and see what we're going to find? That is our daily collective read for today. I'd like to thank you guys so much for being here and experiencing it. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my website, graystrega.com. My private readings are done over video, and if you are a subscriber to my TikTok, you can take 10% off any of my services when you pay. Just mention your subscriber ID at the point of payment. Please keep in mind, if you book a private reading with me, it is a 2-step process. You have to book the reading and you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you'd like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never DM you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my website. So I encourage you to do it there. I'd like to thank you guys so much for being here with me today and sharing with me in these messages. And we will do this again tomorrow.